This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
Today on CityCast Philly, all this week, we're talking about Philly cheesesteaks, but not all of us can stomach red meat, bread, or cheese that make up this iconic sandwich. So we're talking about some alternatives you gotta try. It's Wednesday, September 25th. I'm Trenae Nuri, and here's what Philly's talking about. Abby Fritz, CityCast Philly producer. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks so much for having me, Trenae. I'm excited to be included in this cheesesteak journey, even though I only really did a side quest in comparison to what you've been doing. So
let's get into these cheesesteak alternative options. Abby, you tried a gluten-free cheesesteak, right?
Yes, I did. I went to Oh Brother at 206 Market Street. And I was excited to try the gluten-free option because I am, in fact, gluten sensitive. So I do have a gluten allergy myself, and I've had a lot of gluten-free bread. So I am uniquely prepared to answer this question if it's good or not.
Is it good or not?
I think it's pretty good. They had lots of meat. I think the cheese options were great. I got the Cooper Sharp, and the gluten-free bread is really big, which I think most of the time, gluten-free bread tends to be thin and smaller than regular bread, and it's really dense, I think would be the right word. But this one was it looked like normal-sized cheesesteak bread that you'd find, and it tends to fall apart a little bit sometimes, gluten-free bread.
Okay, that could get tricky,
yeah. And there's a lot going on with the cheese and the meat, so I was a little nervous coming in, being let's see how this holds up. But it held up pretty good. It fell apart a little by the end, but I thought it was pretty good. It still had the kind of taste that gluten-free bread has. It's just, you can kind of tell it's not real bread. But I was pleasantly surprised. It heated up nicely, too. It didn't turn tough or anything. That sometimes can also happen with gluten-free bread. So I was happy with it. I wouldn't call it a full, traditional full gluten cheesesteak dupe. But I do think if you're genuinely celiac and craving that, this is a good option for you. And you can also ask them to hey, I'm allergic to gluten. Can you please make this somewhere where bread hasn't been? So they're sensitive to, people that have a genuine allergy to bread.
I like that because there are some spots that we'll talk about later that actually have a separate griddle for vegetarian options. So they won't cook the vegetables or the other meat options near the red meat, which I love that that they do.
Totally. And I think the price was pretty standard. It's $12. It is an extra $2.99 for the gluten-free bun, which
it
is what it is. But
is it cash only? Because a lot of cheesesteak places are cash only.
No, this one took Apple Pay, card, cash, anything you want, which is great.
Now, what was the vibe in the shop?
The space itself, it was a really large seating area. I've been there before, actually. They have really great late night hours on the weekends. Friday and Saturday, they're open till 3 a.m. So it's a great option if you need late night gluten-free cheesesteaks. And they have 3 locations. They're in Old City, there's one near Temple, and there's one on Roosevelt Boulevard near the Northeast Philadelphia Airport. I think there's room to sit down. I brought a book with me, so, I was hanging out and reading while I ate my cheesesteak. So it's a good spot to hang out.
Nice. All right. What about vegan or vegetarian options? Where have you tried one of these alternative cheesesteaks?
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of places that have vegetarian options or vegan options, but I went to Tattooed Mom on South Street, which is in Queen Village, for a couple of reasons. First, they have like a ton of vegetarian and vegan options. So I was like, okay, like they're paying attention. They're putting some thought into it. And second, they have this deal right now where on Mondays, it's Meatless Mondays. And so all the vegan and vegetarian Sammys are $7.
$7?
Yes.
That's
So
like a good deal.
it's literally like I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Like that's too cheap.
And the reason why I say that, because a lot of sandwiches that I've eaten, they've been at least $10 to like $15.
Yeah. That feels standard. This was $7 and it was like full size too. Like there was a good amount of the filling. Like it didn't feel like they were giving you like any smaller portions because of the price.
Nice.
I will say I thought it was okay. The bun was nice. They had a really nice seeded bun. I did find the filling maybe a bit bland, which I think it's hard because sometimes like cheesesteaks traditionally are lightly seasoned, but
right.
I think like the ribeye meat really kind of helps bring out different flavor profiles and stuff, and you can really taste that. And since this was vegan, it was like lightly seasoned and it wasn't ribeye, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay.
Sure, okay.
Okay. Yeah. And then it was vegan cheese as well. So it all kind of added up. But I do think if I went back in the future, I would ask for extra vegan cheese. And I know this is like a sin, but I put hot sauce on it and I thought it was good with hot sauce. So like hot sauce or ketchup or something in terms of this vegan option, you might just have to do it, you know? So definitely can spruce it up a little bit. And for those that haven't been to Tattooed Mom before, it's a really fun vibe, very kooky. There's lots of decorations, art. There's like an old bumper car that you can like sit in and eat your food. It's cute. They have tons of drink options. I got the cheesy waffle fries as well, which I love them. I crave those for sure. Yeah, so it's a fun vibe. I think I have brought people who are visiting me to Tattooed Moms before. Like it's a great spot to like when you're showing people around, if you're bringing people to South Street, you can be like, let's just go to Tattoo Moms. And yeah, so it's a cool energy and definitely a great deal for what you're getting if you go on a Monday.
Nice. Okay, so speaking of vegetarian cheesesteaks, last week, I tried the vegetarian cheesesteak option at Jim's West in West Philly. And the cook was really, really nice. You could tell she made that sandwich with love. You could just taste it. So it had green peppers, onions, and you can add mushrooms, but we chose not to eat mushrooms in this sandwich. Now, this was for my daughter who is vegetarian. So to speak. She'll eat Chick-fil-A.
Vegetarian except Chick-fil-A.
Right. When it comes to Chick-fil-A. Okay. But yeah, you have the option to have Cooper Sharp American cheese, provolone, or the classic cheese whiz. Nice. But we chose provolone and it was hot. It tastes fresh. And like I said before, I love how they had a separate grill for the vegetable options that people may have wanted. And it was a part of the menu. Yeah. So it was like a few options below, you know, the regular cheesesteaks, chicken cheesesteak, mushroom cheesesteaks, but it definitely was an option. The only thing is that it gets funny in this whole cheesesteak, alternative cheesesteak conversation is that when you tell a cook like, hey, do you have the vegetarian or vegan option? Sometimes they're like, what? You want the what? You sure you don't want meat?
Like,
it's like, yeah, I'm sure. I don't want meat.
You're like, I have thought about this and I have decided.
Okay. So another alternative to the classic cheesesteak is choosing chicken cheesesteaks, which are popular in the city, I would say. I've had the chicken cheesesteak at Larry Steaks, which is off of City Avenue on St. Joseph's campus. This is in West Philly, and it's super popular. This is like one of the like spots you go to late night for a cheesesteak or a chicken cheesesteak. They've got other stuff that you can get to, like the fries and things like that. But you can't miss this building. It has big, bright lights. There is Kobe Bryant memorabilia all over the place because this is very close to Lower Merion where Kobe Bryant went to high school.
Very cool.
There is a lot of seating.
Mhm.
So you can get your chicken cheesesteak or your cheesesteak when it's nice and hot, sit down, grab a drink. And yeah, I feel like with a chicken cheesesteak, though, similar to what you were saying about the vegan option, hot sauce is a good compliment
Yes.
to it. Ketchup is a good compliment to it. I would more so for chicken cheesesteak choose provolone or American cheese.
Mhm.
I don't think I would do a cheese whiz. I think I would choose cheese whiz for like my fries
Mm-hmm.
or like a, ribeye
Yeah.
beef cheesesteak option. But yeah, there's plenty of parking. Staff is friendly. So yeah, check out Larry's if you're looking for a chicken cheesesteak.
That makes total sense, like what you're saying about the different cheeses. I think like just the way chicken absorbs flavor is very different than ribeye. So that's something to consider. And that reminds me, actually, one of my favorite places I tried on my little mini journey was I went to Little Sicily Pizza 2, and it was so good. It was a big yes for me. I got the Indian style chicken cheesesteak, and oh my gosh, it was so good. I like spice and spicy things.
Okay.
So I'll preface with that. If you're not into spicy food, do not try this. But I thought the way the chicken absorbed the spice blend, and there was cheese and cilantro on top, and it was like a little greasy, but like in a good way, because they really they like ground the chicken almost.
Okay. Yeah.
It was so good. I was so surprised how much I enjoyed it.
Do you like greasy cheesesteaks?
I'm not sure. I don't know if I would say I like it, but I think it worked here, I think it worked for what it was. And this, I think my vision with this spot is because the portion was huge. There was no way I was going to be able to finish this whole cheesesteak. So I ate half of it at the location, and then I saved the rest for later. And I think my vision for the next time I go back to this place, because I definitely will, is I would have my lunch. And when you walk into the store, it's huge. There's a bunch of seating, and they have like a wall of just a bunch of different beverages you can pick from. And there's like soft drinks and teas and stuff like that. But then also they have alcohol and beer, and you can pick up like a 6-pack. And so what I think I'm going to do is, when I know I'm going out with my friends and we need to drink a little before we go out, I'm going to go get this cheesesteak. I'm going to grab a 6-pack. I'm going to eat half now and then put the rest in the fridge for when I get home later that night.
Yes.
And I think that would be like perfect. I would look forward to it for sure. It was also only $10.50, which is like,
what?
Yes, it was $10.50. I was
for a portion like that.
Yes.
How you're describing it. That's a good deal.
It was such a good deal. And I got a drink too, of course, because there was so many options. And it was just a great vibe. Like, you could tell people go there regularly. There's people like on their lunch break. And when I went to the counter, the folks there were like giving me recommendations of what to get. And they were like, no, like, you definitely should do this. And so they were very helpful. I think they're like generally known more for their pizza. But honestly, I loved the chicken cheesesteak. I super recommend. I'd say maybe the biggest deterrent for some people will be its location. It's on Columbus Boulevard, next to that Wawa, like kind of around the Walmart shopping area, like that area. Yeah. And so if it, like, for me, it's fairly close to me, and I go grocery shopping in that area sometimes. So like, I'll stop by and get something then. But for more of a classic chicken cheesesteak route, I went to Cosme's Deli, which is on South 8th Street in Dickinson. This is very different from the other place I tried. There's no seating. It's takeout only. They do have soft drink options and like a bunch of desserts in the fridge. They had like tiramisu, Oreo cake, carrot cake, rice pudding, like a bunch of stuff. There's an ATM inside, but they do take card. It's a very like small shop vibe. Like, lots of people clearly ordered in advance and like come there regularly. They have pretty good hours. They're open 10 to 10 every day. And as far as the sandwich goes, I did think it was a bit expensive. It was $16 for a chicken cheesesteak. I thought the food was pretty good. It was a bit hot. I went to my car to eat it since there was no seating inside. But they probably made it hot because it's takeout, so they're assuming people have to get wherever they're going. And I thought I would have preferred the onions to be chopped a little thinner. It was kind of like a thick cut on the chicken and the onions.
Okay, chunky. Yeah, kind of chunky.
Yeah, it was a little chunky, but they gave a lot of food. I definitely had leftovers. And I think at this point in me trying stuff, I've realized I want the cheese melted up in the meat. I want it chopped up in there. I think I want cheese in every bite because I think most of the places I tried, they kind of melt it on top. But I thought it was good. And if, you just need to go quick and grab something, they have a bunch of different sandwiches too. They have cheesesteaks, they have hoagies. So very classic, Italian-American little corner store in South Philly that's been doing this for a while and is a staple in the community. So it was cool. It was nice to try it.
Nice. More on cheesesteak alternatives after the break. Hey, it's Trenae. If you've been listening to CityCast Philly, you know that I've been on a mission to find the best, most iconic cheesesteak in all of Philadelphia. I ate so many cheesesteaks, y'all. Not that I'm complaining. And this week, I'm finally ready to share my findings. But I also want to tell you about the secret weapon in my months-long cheesesteak quest. Since I've been running all over town taste testing steaks, I really needed some footwear that was super comfortable, high quality, and obviously made me look good in every setting, even standing in line at gyms. So I visited the new Tacova store at the King of Prussia Mall to pick up a pair of cowgirl boots. And let me tell you something, I literally might not ever take these off my feet again. The second I walked into the Tacova store, I felt totally taken care of. I'll admit, I'm a little new to Western wear, but the staff there walked me through a fitting, answered all my questions, and even gave me a can of beer while I tried on my boots. I walked out with a handmade pair of suede Annies, and right out of the box, they felt comfortable enough to wear every day. They definitely convinced this city girl to swap out her sneakers for some cowgirl boots. I've been wearing them to run to the grocery store, when I need to stand on my feet for hours cheering on my son's football team, and I even rocked them at a tailgate last Sunday. Go Birds! So, as I've been walking miles around South Philly, on South Street, in West and up in Roxborough, trying all the cheesesteaks, these boots have given me the boost I needed to finish my quest. So whether you want to take your own Philly cheesesteak crawl or just need a new look for fall, head to your Tacova store at the King of Prussia Mall or visit tacovas.com. That's TECOVAS.com to pick up some new boots and plenty of other high-quality Western wear too. I promise you'll find some boots that are right for you. So go visit your Tacova store today. And remember, don't go gently.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
All right, let's get back into where you can go if you're looking for alternative cheesesteak options. Since we were talking about chicken, you can hit up Ishkabibbles on South Street. Abby, where else can you get different types of cheesesteaks?
Yeah, there's so much out there, and I wish I would have had more time to try other stuff. When we were talking with our coworker, he had come to Philly at some point and tried Mike's Barbecue, which is pretty close to East Passyunk, off of the main strip in South Philly. And they have a brisket cheesesteak there, which just sounds crazy. I would absolutely body that sometime. I love barbecue, so this sounds like a novelty I'd really enjoy. So definitely put that on your list. And then I think another one that is going to be on the list at some point too is Gojo. which has Ethiopian cheesesteaks. It's on Baltimore Ave out in West Philly, like University City area. And it's just, there's a lot of amazing Ethiopian restaurants around there. And sounds like it could be done really well. So gotta try that at some point. How about you, Trenae? Is there any other ones that you want to try?
I really want to try the oxtail cheesesteak at Taste Cheesesteak Bar in Center City. Oxtail is a Caribbean dish, you know, served with rice and beans. But to put that in a cheesesteak, my mouth is just watering thinking about this.
Literally, this sounds so good. Yeah.
Yes.
There's also a spot near me that I want to try, which is actually right next to another really good oxtail place. So speaking of oxtail, but Cafe Chocolat in South Philly on Snyder, they have a Mexican cheesesteak and it just looks wonderful. They just do great food and great coffee. And I love that they've taken this approach to this cheesesteak. So I'm going to try that at some point as well. Like, man, I didn't realize how many cheesesteaks I needed to try until doing all the research for this. Trenae, have you ever had any like cheesesteak flavored foods?
Yes. Okay. So hers makes a Philly cheesesteak chip. I went to my neighborhood 7-Eleven and I saw these chips just laying there. And I was like, wait, my eyes just saw cheesesteak and it was just like, So I grabbed them because I really want to see a part of this like journalism work that we're doing and see if they really taste like a cheesesteak.
Did they?
They did not.
Yeah.
It didn't taste like a cheesesteak to me. Okay, so this chip had like a orange colored dusting of like cheese.
Okay.
So it mainly tasted like cheese.
Oh.
So I didn't get like any taste of like bread. I didn't get a taste of like meat. It was just cheese. Now, it was a good tasting chip. I don't think it was a cheesesteak chip.
Okay. Yeah, and the CityCast Philly team, we all tried hers chips earlier and they had like a stromboli flavor and like you could really like taste the meat aspect of it. So I'm like a little surprised that they didn't throw in the steak undertones or anything else.
With the cheesesteak chips, you don't get that meat taste, which is what I was looking for. But I would still grab them. And those were the type of chips where I feel like really complement your hoagie really well.
Okay.
Okay, so rounding out this alternative cheesesteak conversation, Abby, what other ways have you had a cheesesteak or cheesesteak adjacent, but it really wasn't a classic cheesesteak sandwich?
Yeah, totally. I think something that comes to mind that I see a lot and have picked up like on multiple occasions just kind of randomly are cheesesteak egg rolls.
Ooh, yeah. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, they're like everywhere. You can find them at a lot of like little hole in the walls, like Chinese restaurants and places that serve egg rolls. It's like a really easy way to kind of sneak in that Philly themed option for these places. And it's actually like surprisingly good in my opinion, because for people who maybe you don't want like a half a pound of meat tonight, like red meat, you know what I mean? Like maybe you just need a little bite of something cheesy and fried and yummy. And the egg rolls really do that for me. And they're pretty consistently solid too. I've maybe had them at like 4 different places. And every time I've been like, okay, cool. Like this wasn't horrible. Like this was actually pretty good. And it satisfied that red meat craving and is a great like appetizer for when you're eating out at places like that.
Okay, what other foods have you had that are like cheesesteak adjacent?
So I actually haven't had this one, but I really want to try it. It's a cheesesteak pretzel, which this makes sense to me.
Like cheesesteak on top or?
No, actually it's like inside the pretzel, which I think is even cooler.
Yeah.
Our coworker, Asha Prihar, the Hey Philly newsletter editor, recommended Miller's Twist to us, which is in the Reading Terminal Market. And they have a Philly cheesesteak pretzel roll-up. So, and also like a ton of other pretzel flavors. So you should check them out. We've definitely been there as a team before. And it sounds so good. Like this makes sense as a good alternative to me because like the soft dough on the outside with like the big salt, and then you have the cheese and the meat on the inside. Like I would love that at like a baseball game or something. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
like,
yeah.
Like it would be a great, like, again, not too much meat, but like a hearty snack. Like a snack that isn't just carbs, you know? Yeah, but definitely need to try that.
Have you ever had a cheesesteak adjacent dessert?
So I actually have. Last year I went to Amina in Old City for Restaurant Week.
Great restaurant.
So good. It was so wonderful. And on their menu, they have cheesesteak beignets, which, if you know what a beignet is, it's this like classic deep fried dough with like powdered sugar on top. And I was like, cheesesteak beignets. I'm like, this is wild. But I really enjoyed it. And it definitely wasn't a dessert. It had like spicy ketchup and like cheese sauce on top of it, and then like the steak filling. But I think it complemented it really well because just like the puffy, really soft batter of the beignet with the meat on the inside, and then like all of the gorgeous sauces. I was like, oh my God, this is elevated cheesesteak. This is like fancy cheesesteak that they're doing here. Yeah.
Nice. It's so much to try.
Yeah.
And that's why I love this city. All right, that was Abby Fritz, our City Cast Philly producer. Abby, thank you so much for all these alternative cheesesteak options.
Of course. Anytime, Trenae.
So you can check out all of these alternative cheesesteak options by checking out the big cheesesteak list when it comes out later this week. That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. If you enjoyed this episode about alternative cheesesteaks, tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to sign up for our morning newsletter, Hey Philly, to learn more about what else Philly's talking about. We'll be back tomorrow with my final results of the cheesesteak quest. Bye.